Hey, church girl. God didn't call you to be available to everyone. And the reason that sentence might feel uncomfortable is because availability has been confused with obedience for far too long. You've been answering calls, filling gaps, showing up emotionally and spiritually for people, and somewhere along the way, being reachable became a measure of your faith. But today we're going to talk about why God never required constant access to you and why discernment, not availability, is actually a sign of spiritual maturity. If you're new here, welcome to Church Girl Heal. I'm Dr. Brenda, and this is a sacred space for Christian women who love God, serve faithfully, and are learning how to heal without bleeding in silence. This is not a place where we shame the church, dismiss faith, or glorify burnout. It is a place where we tell the truth about what church culture sometimes teaches women and how the kingdom of God invites us into something healthier, more formed, and more aligned. So if your faith is strong, but your boundaries feel weak, if you love God, but feel stretched thin, you're in the right place. I want you to take a breath. You don't need to prove anything here. Let's get started. This message is for you if your phone feels heavy, if your calendar feels crowded, and if your spirit feels stretched thin. You're the one people call when something goes wrong. The one who listens longer than you should. The one who responds quickly, even when you're exhausted. You pray, you advise, you comfort, you show up. And even when you're tired, you still answer because you don't want to seem unloving, unavailable, or disconnected from God. So you push past your limits. You feel torn between wanting rest and wanting to be faithful, between honoring your body and honoring expectations, between saying no and being seen as difficult, distant, or not Christ-like. And here's the truth you haven't said out loud. You're exhausted not because people need you, but because you've been consistently accessible. You respond immediately. You explain yourself often, and you feel guilty when you don't reply fast enough. And when you feel overwhelmed, you don't blame anyone. You blame yourself. If that's you, put an ouch in the comments. Since you tell yourself you should be able to handle this, that this is what love looks like, and that God wouldn't want you to say no. But church girl, hear me. Constant access is not the same as divine assignment. And your exhaustion is trying to tell you something your theology hasn't caught up with yet. That was me. I am not sharing anything that I haven't been through. But here's the truth that brings clarity without condemnation. Since God never measured obedience by availability, He measured it by alignment. Church culture, often unintentionally, has discipled women to believe that being reachable equals being righteous. that if you're always responsive, always available, always saying yes, then you must be spiritually mature. But the kingdom of God doesn't operate on access. It operates on assignment. Availability says anyone can reach me, but obedience says God can direct me. And when availability replaces discernment, something dangerous happens. You begin carrying responsibilities God never assigned, filling gaps He never asked you to fill, and saying yes to good things that crowd out God things. There's a difference. And over time, your spiritual life becomes cluttered, not with sin, but with obligation. An obligation, even when it looks holy, will eventually drain you. This isn't about being selfish or withdrawing from community, because community is important. This is about stewardship. God did not call you to be emotionally and spiritually accessible to everyone. I'm going to just keep saying it. He called you to be obedient, and those are not the same thing. A lot of times we make ourselves too accessible and we drown in exhaustion. Jesus modeled this with stunning clarity. There were crowds who wanted him, people who needed healing, and followers with urgent questions. And yet Jesus often withdrew. I said this last week. He delayed responses and passed by needs without addressing them immediately, not because he lacked compassion, but because he lived from assignment, not pressure. Look at Luke 5:16. It tells us that Jesus often withdrew to lonely places to pray, which means there were conversations he didn't have, requests he didn't answer right away, and needs he didn't meet on demand. And still, he was perfectly obedient to his Father's will. That tells us something critical. It tells us that discernment sometimes looks like unavailability. If Jesus needed boundaries to remain aligned, why have we taught church women that constant access is proof of faith? God speaks in direction, not in demand. Pressure rushes, but discernment listens. And when you don't pause to the spaces filled, and you become exhausted. So your constant availability reveals that this may be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. It reveals that you've been saying yes out of guilt instead of guidance, responding out of fear instead of faith, and carrying emotional weight because you don't want to disappoint anyone. Who am I speaking to? Tell me in the comment. But guilt is not a fruit of the Spirit. Fear is not a sign of obedience, and overextension is not the cost of discipleship. Formation teaches you to pause before responding. It teaches you to ask God, is this for me? Is this an assignment that you have for me? It teaches you to discern the difference between a request and an assignment. Performance-based spirituality says be there for everyone. But formed faith says be where God sends you. And until church girls are taught to filter requests through prayer instead of pressure, availability will keep draining what alignment was meant to protect. You see, boundaries don't harden your heart. They clarify your calling. They don't make you distant. They make you directed. And when you stop being available to everyone, you actually become more available to God. So this week, I don't want you to cut people off. I don't want you to make announcements or explain yourself. I just want you to pause before responding, before committing, before saying yes, and ask this question quietly and honestly. Did God assign this to me, or did guilt volunteer me? Let that question slow you down, guide your discernment, and create space for alignment instead of pressure. Sis, this has been Dr. Brenda with Church Girl Heal. And if you are a church girl learning how to mature emotionally and spiritually without burning out, I invite you to stay connected. Until next week, protect your alignment. God bless you and heal.